Feeling a little neglected. There was a small mosh pit for the music and it all went away. Hey, we're going to be in Matthew chapter 18 if you want to follow along today. I would encourage you to do so. This will be our last message in Matthew. Is anybody sad? Yeah. Like all year we've been in Matthew. He's become a great friend. And now Matthew will be leaving us for a while. Hey, we've got a great opportunity throughout this series to talk about some parables, some stories that Jesus told. And as we do that, we've been inviting people into the story, trying to figure out how to set everything down. We've been inviting people into the story because Jesus is still writing stories, right? He's writing them into our lives. Every time that we have an opportunity to encounter Jesus Christ, things change. We can't leave things the same. He's a God who steps into our present reality, meets us where we are, and walks with us through the difficulties and helps us to get to something better on the other side. And so today you're going to have an opportunity to step into the story a little bit. And as we open up, let's just read the passage together, and then we'll talk about some of the details with it. So Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times? And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. And then Jesus told a story. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants. And when he began to settle, one who was brought to him who had owed him 10,000 talents. This one came up a little bit last week. A talent would be like 20 years worth of wages. 20 years, that's a lot of money. And so he owed him a lot of money. And since he could not pay, his master ordered him to be sold and his wife and his children and all that he had until the payments could be made. Okay, I don't know if you guys are picking this up. That's 10,000 20-year periods. Work until it's all paid. Does this seem impossible to anyone? I think so. Right? And so the servant fell on his knees and he implored him, have patience with me and I will pay you everything. Just be patient. I promise I'll go out and work. I'll go out and try to come up with the money and I'll start making payments and we'll be good. As if he could do that. But it says out of pity or compassion for him, the master of the servant released him and forgave his debt. How amazing is that? 10,000 20-year periods, and the master is just going to forgive everything. But when that same servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii. That's 100 days' wages, not years, 100 days' wages. And he seized him and he began to choke him, saying, "Pay what you owe." So his fellow servant fell down and pleaded with him, "Have patience with me, and I will pay you." And he refused, and he went out and put him in prison until he should pay his debt. And when his fellow servants saw what had taken place, they were greatly distressed. And they went and they reported to their master all that had taken place. Then his master summoned him and said to him, "You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you pleaded with me. And should not you have had mercy on your fellow servant, as I had mercy on you?" And in anger, his master delivered him to the jailers until he should pay all of his debt. So also, my heavenly Father will do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother from your heart. Gosh, the indication here is that there's a very large debt that we pay. And so I kind of wanted to do a comparative analysis. And so anybody tell me what this is? One sheet of paper. Okay, this one sheet of paper is going to, for us, represent 100 denarii, 100 days' wages. And this is what we would call a ream of paper. Okay, a ream of paper, this one has 500 sheets in it. Okay, would anybody say the 500 is more than the one? Yeah, absolutely. Do you know how many reams of paper it would take to reach 10,000 talents? It would take about 1,200 of these. 1,200 of these. And this is the comparison we're making. So I want you to pretend that on the bed of the trailer is a stack of these going up high. I have forgiven you all of this, and you couldn't forgive this. Does that seem crazy to anyone? Yeah, absolutely crazy. Now, because I don't want to stop at one object lesson, this is what we would call toilet paper. And during COVID, this was worth about 20,000 talents. 100 denarii. Right here. 100 denarii. This is the thing that somebody owes us that we can't let go of. And then God forgave us 10,000 talents, 10,000 20 years of wages. How many rolls of toilet paper do you think that would be? About 3,000 rolls. 3,000 rolls, enough to take care of your household 1 month during COVID. 3,000 rolls. That's just an amazing difference. And as we embark on this story, we see that there's a little bit more being played out, right? Because three was kind of the commonality for the religious leaders. If somebody offends you, you need to give them 3 times. 4 is pushing it, right? So you would forgive them 3. So when Peter is asking this question and he says, how many times? Like 7 times? He's actually being really generous. Like, oh, 7 times? And Jesus is like, you don't get it. Not 7 times, but 77 times. And if you're a tally marker keeper, if you're like a detail person, you probably have a book and you're like, okay, check, that's 1. Check 2. All right, how many more times am I going to have to deal with this? Check, there's 3. Oh, come on, I can't do this anymore. Check 4. How much am I going to have to forgive that other person? Well, it's actually kind of a play that goes back to Genesis chapter 4. And so Cain had killed his brother, and God wanted to protect Cain and said, anybody who hurts Cain 7 times, that's going to be paid on them. It was a level of protection. And then just a little bit later, one of Cain's ancestors also took the life of someone. And it said 70. If Cain got it 7 times, 77 times is for me. But the play is really much bigger than that, because when we dive into the story, we see something greater. So I have some what's called marking tape. And so if we would take like a foot of marking tape, and this would be our 100 denarii. To get to 20,000 talents, this would stretch about 114 miles, well past from here to Lincoln. You could drive past Lincoln just for this much. Let's put it in a way that maybe we can understand it. Okay, so we only have an inch, just an inch, right? This is our 100 denarii. This is the thing we can't get over, the thing we can't let go of. A comparative analysis would mean you could drive from here to the hospital, to the high school, and to Walmart that long. There's not enough tape to display the grace of God in our life. And there is another passage in Matthew chapter 6. Maybe you're familiar with it. The Lord's Prayer. Father, forgive us as we have forgiven our debtors. Wow. And sometimes, guys, we can't even get over an inch. It's nothing in the presence of God. So I'm going to give you 3 next steps. and then a fourth like family fun application piece. First step is this. You need to confess your sins before a holy God who is gracious and willing to forgive. You may feel like today there's no possible way that God could forgive me. Does he know what I've done? And the answer, without a shadow of a doubt, is yes. He sent his one and only Son to die for you in all of your sin and shame. He can forgive you. So let today be the day that we bring those before God and confess them and seek his forgiveness. Also, let's just find the way to be grateful for the forgiveness we've received. Do you guys ever find that once you receive the grace, you just kind of keep on going with life? What a better posture to come in with an attitude of gratitude. And just before this holy God who is amazing at this forgiveness piece, say, God, I thank you so much because when I was going through this, when I was chasing all the wrong things, when I was hurting people, when I was getting hurt along the way, your grace is so amazing. And I wouldn't be here without it. So come before him and confess to receive his forgiveness. Appreciate the forgiveness you've been given and give that forgiveness to others when you encounter them. I remember growing up, I loaned somebody in my family $10. And $10 for me at that point in time, like a lot of money. And I just wouldn't let it go. It's just like, hey, you got my money yet? Hey, you got this yet? Now, $10, not even a blip on the radar. Right? And even if it was hundreds of dollars, in the grace of God that has been lavished upon me, I can be forgiving to others. What an amazing story of forgiveness from Jesus. Now, I want you in your table groups. So, some of you are sitting with your families, some of you are sitting with your small groups or your friends. I want you to take a piece of paper and take the same passage, and I want you to make a parable that still conveys the same meaning of forgiveness. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. And then I'm going to ask if you have one that you would like to share. You're going to come up and you're going to get to write the story here today. Okay, so you have 5 minutes, gather with some people around you, and write this parable in your own language in a way that fits today. All right, if I could get some people to come up and share their parables, who wants to come up and do this?
All right. So we put this in the example of like being a business owner and you have employees. And so uh, the business owner forgives one employee who has used up excessive amounts of vacation and sick time, and they've gone over the allotted time, and it's been forgiven. And then they go to their fellow employee who's missed a lot less time and confronts them over the time that they've missed and starts a ruckus over that. And then the fellow employees go to the boss, and the boss then turns around and fires the one that should have been fired in the first place and gave him the justification of not forgiving and letting stuff go.
Thank you. All right, we got one more coming here. Do we have anybody on deck?
So I was trying to put a parallel into how many times we are forgiven. So here we are in the park, and I look at the tree, and then a tree ultimately, once it's processed, can become many different particles. So you have the tree, you cut it down, and you have wood, and then you saw it and you sand it. And just like our Father comes along and refines us, all of those little particles represent how many times our sin and how many times we have been forgiven. So that was the parable that we came up with.
Awesome. Anybody else? It's coming up.
I'm good right here. Okay. So Oliver and Theo, they're characters in this story. Sophia didn't want to come up, but we have a lot of this that happens at our house, right? Oliver, he likes to take his sister's stuff right? So he took one bag of her dill pickle sunflower seeds, hot commodity in our home. And Sophia said, "That's okay, Oliver. It's fine. You don't have to pay me back." But Theodore here, okay, little guy, came and took one of Oliver's donuts, and Oliver in turn locked him in the dog kennel. That's happened. That's so terrible.
Right? The grace of God is so amazing and numerous, like the amount of grace that He's extended to us. And so, step one is to seek that forgiveness in Jesus Christ. And step two is to express your gratitude to God for the forgiveness you've received. And step three is to extend that same grace to the people that you encounter.